All right, if you're in the world of P2P crypto, you know that time is money. So today, we are cutting right to the chase with a quick field guide for all you mediators and sellers out there. We're going to show you how to spot those bogus buyers, the ones who seem to exist just to waste your time. Let's jump right in.
So does this whole scenario sound a little too familiar? You're setting up a trade, you're going back and forth, and you think you're getting somewhere, and then poof, it all just vanishes. You've just burned hours on someone who is never, ever going to buy. It is, without a doubt, one of the biggest headaches in P2P and OTC trading.
The source material we're looking at has a perfect name for this person, the time passer. And look, this isn't just a tricky customer. This is someone who is not genuine right from the start. They come at you with offers that make no sense, and really, their only mission is to waste as much of your time as possible.
Okay, so how do we catch these folks before they suck up our time? Well, the first red flag is a really simple test of logic. Let's call it the profit fallacy. And trust me, once you know what to look for, you'll see this one everywhere. It's super common.
So you'll hear something that sounds a lot like this. The buyer tells you their big plan. Right out loud, they want to buy your USDT for cheap, and then turn around and flip it on a big exchange for a quick profit. I mean, it almost sounds like a business pitch, right? But it's actually a massive red flag. And here is where the whole thing just falls flat on its face. So their logic is buy low from you, sell high on an exchange. But just hang on a second. Why in the world would you sell it to them for a lower price when you could just go to that same exchange and sell it for the higher price yourself, right? The second you ask yourself that simple question, their entire story makes zero sense. That one little question is all you need. The logic just isn't there. And when a buyer's whole reason for trading is that fundamentally flawed, the verdict is crystal clear. This is not a real buyer. This is a time passer. Now let's move on to the second red flag, which builds on this perfectly. This one is all about catching the buyer in a lie, a direct contradiction in their story. And it usually revolves around the idea of privacy.
So this is the kind of line they'll try to feed you. They'll say their whole reason for doing a P2P cash deal is to stay off the grid, right? To avoid KYC, to avoid being tracked by the big exchanges. Privacy is everything to them, or so they say. But then, almost in the same breath, they'll tell you their plan is to take that USDT and immediately go sell it on an exchange.
And there it is, the big contradiction, plain as day. Their claim is, I need privacy, so I have to avoid the exchanges. But their action is, I'm going to go sell this on an exchange. It just doesn't add up. You can't have it both ways. It's a dead giveaway that the reason they're giving you for the trade is just not the truth. And when a buyer's story falls apart that easily, when it contradicts itself so blatantly, well, the verdict is exactly the same. They are not a legit buyer, they are a time passer. And the smartest thing you can do is just move on fast. Okay, so we've got our two huge red flags. Now, let's just wrap this all up into a super simple process that you can use to make a quick, confident call on any trade that comes your way. Here it is. This is your new playbook. It's a simple two-step rejection process. First, you run their story through the profit fallacy test. Does it make any financial sense for you? Second, you check it against the privacy contradiction test. Are they telling you two different things at once? If they fail either one of these tests, the decision is easy. The buyer is just not eligible. And honestly, this is the final word on the matter. This isn't about negotiating. It's not about trying to make a sketchy deal work. The advice here is direct, it's blunt, and it's all about saving you a massive headache. Reject the buyer. Period. End of story. These two tests might seem simple, but they are incredibly powerful for filtering out all that noise. Sticking to them will literally save you hours of your life. And that brings us to our final thought for you to chew on. What's the #1 rule in your crypto playbook for staying safe and efficient? Thanks for tuning in.